Hey guys, welcome to She Knows Arsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at It's Chesino. So we're going to be doing a post-match call-in show today. I thought it was probably the perfect time to do this because there's so many people that are trying to express themselves, trying to get their feelings out about the game yesterday. It was obviously very disappointing to see how we set up, how blunt we were up top, how confused the players looked. There was just not a lot to take away from that game to feel confident in. And so we're just going to do something a little bit different. Usually we just sit around and talk amongst each other or amongst ourselves, but we're going to let you guys have your say. So in just a couple of minutes after I bring in my guests, I'm going to send out the link for you guys to come in and talk to us about the game and get your feelings out. My only caveat here is that no abuse will be allowed on this channel at all. If I hear anything that I don't like, even if I'm take it out of context or whatever, I'm just going to delete you off of here and you're not going to come back on my channel. But I don't anticipate that happening because I know you guys know the rules. But just to reiterate again, no abuse will be accepted on this channel at all. So let's just go ahead and add in my guests. I have Souls here and Igal. How you guys doing?
I'm kicking it.
You were really confident before the game, Igal. How do you feel now?
Honestly, I still think we're gonna go through. It's just because we have nothing else to work for the rest of the season. So you know what? They have to do something. And you know what? We've been able to turn over if you guys remember, we went 3-1 down to Rennes, and then we ended up turning it around. I know it was a different manager and a different team and set of players, but we've been in tough situations before, and we'll get through it. And you know, a tough season is going to end in glory, hopefully, with us winning the Europa League.
The eternal optimist you are, Igal. I'm not quite as confident as you are, but Souls, you said that you rewatched the game and you saw some things that maybe we could take into the next game as, you know, maybe something positive. So what did you see? Because when I rewatched the game, I just thought, wow, we got lucky. We're lucky we're not more down, you know. We're lucky we got the penalty.
The reason why I said that was because everything I said in my pre-match tactical breakdown of Villarreal actually came true. And what I said was we needed pace up top and we needed to control the midfield. Now, Dani Ceballos getting a red card is a blessing in disguise for me anyway, because I didn't want him playing. What we need to do is revert Xhaka back into midfield. We need to have Partey, Xhaka midfield pivot. We then ESR, and for me, ESR or Odegaard can play. I'm not bothered who the number 10 is. But up top, it has to be Aubameyang, Martinelli, Pepe, or Saka. That four you can make up. I don't mind seeing Lacazette in there, but I just feel like what we need is a striker who can play off the last shoulder of the defender. What you'll always see is the middle player is always going to be the pivotal of who they defend against. The wide players will have all the joy in the world. That's why I want the likes of Pepe to play. And you know what? We can even see a front three of Aubameyang on the wing, Lacazette down the middle, and then we can have either Saka or Martinelli on the right, or however you want to do it. Because and I said it, they magnetize and they're really drawn to the player on the ball, and anyone off the ball has the freedom to do what they want. We lacked movement, we lacked energy, and we lacked conviction in that sense because half of those players were injured. You can even see it. Odegaard was not fit. You know, ESR had an off day. Partey definitely had an off day. But Ceballos, we know what happened with him. And that's why I want to see, and if David Luiz is to be back, it's not what I seen in the game, it's what I know is coming back in terms of the players coming back. And from what I can see from Villarreal, I think he's going to get it right. And like Igal said, I know this is going to sound so bizarre, but I do genuinely think we'll turn this leg over. But I think it might be a penalty shootout.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely be more in the game. I don't think you could get it any more wrong than we did in the first leg. So do freaking the opposite. You know, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, so you wanted to do a false nine, right? It didn't work against Manchester City when we tried to do it. It didn't even work for Manchester City in their first leg, or against PSG. It didn't work in that first, you know, so I don't know if he looked at it. He was like, well, Pep's doing it. Let me do it. No, don't do it. You know, so I was looking at that like, okay, well, that was a huge flop. So we know we're going to see some sort of striker in the second leg, whether it's Aubameyang or Lacazette, we don't really know. But I think just having a focal point for this team is important because Emile Smith-Rowe he wasn't bad, but if you watched him, he made like 5 or 6 runs and nobody found him. So I'm not sure if they just didn't rate him or they were like not interested in passing him the ball, but it was there was a lot of things in that game that were very, very strange to me. But let me go ahead and bring Albert in because he's here as well.
Big up to
Hey, Albert, how are you?
Not bad, man. You put the call out, Jess. I thought, okay, let me spare some time for you, man. Let me come on and talk about our beloved Gooners.
Yeah, I mean, cool, calm, and collected. Albert always brings the real, but always in a way that's like not irate and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing because we don't really need that today. Definitely yesterday, the energy was like, get it out, you know, I'm upset, whatever. But today, let's think a little bit more logically because we're still in this tie. Albert, what do we need to do in the next game to ensure that we go through? I think we're at a 38% likelihood of going through, which is not great, but I think we're lucky to be anywhere even being considered to go through, you know? So what do we need to do differently besides throw away all the tactics from yesterday and burn them?
Firstly, let me say big up Igal and goodness souls, man.
Yo, you say.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Jess, the first thing is we should pray. Yeah, I'm being serious, man, because I've been on my own platform, some of the guys' channels, your channel, other channels. I said the same thing time and time again, man. Like with these group of players, you have to ask yourself as a fan, forget whoever's in charge or whatever's going on and off the pitch. Just ask yourself your question as a fan. Do you trust these group of players over the course of a season in the league? And do you trust them when it comes to the crunch? Are these guys going to deliver? And we know the answer already. This is not a surprise to us. Like when we're going into games, majorly important games, hoping they turn up, even if it's for 10 minutes, even if it's for the 20 minutes against Prague we had. And I mean, I must admit, Jess, man, I was shocked what I saw yesterday, and it takes a lot to shock me. So I saw the team line up. I thought, okay, you know what? The goalkeeper in the back four for me wasn't a surprise. I mean, I was scared the living daylights like any Arsenal fan to think Xhaka's going to be playing at left back, because I tried to speak to my Nigerian brother Samuel Chukwueze to say, just go easy on this guy. Don't go to, you know, just. But you know what even puzzled me even more, right? If it was a case of, the guys might agree, disagree. If all our fullbacks were injured, and you thought, oh, you know what, we have to play Xhaka there. We've got to play him there. Then I get it. But you've got fullbacks that could have played at left back yesterday. And I'm no like word of a lie, Jester. I think Arteta must have watched the Man City PSG game and thought, you know what, I might just try that in the biggest game of the season. A false nine. We can't even play best in our best system with a 4-2-3-1. You want to go and play a false nine in our biggest game of the season? It's, to me, it's crackers, man. Absolutely crackers.
Nah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Couldn't believe it.
Do you know what the funny thing is? Yeah,
sorry, the first half.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, listen, I think people sometimes think, oh, because they're international footballers, they should be able to pass the ball. Nah, man, not all the time. That first half was just, I don't know what's going on. I mean, Ceballos, I don't know why to be honest with you, I said it before, he wasn't the only one, obviously, but it's just, for someone who's technically gifted, I've never seen somebody hold onto the ball for so long. So long. Slowing it down, just non-existent first half.
Yeah, I was listening to, I forget what I was listening to, but there is a La Liga expert that was talking about Ceballos and how he's one of those types of players that has an attitude almost like he's better than what he is. And the type of talent that he has is good, but not to the level of arrogance that he puts out there on the pitch. And it shows up. You know, he does little flicks and tricks on the, you know, pretty much on the outside of our box, like just literally on the line of our box. And to play him in a game like this, I thought was really strange, you know, because he's been horrendous the entire Europa League campaign, been pretty much trying to get us kicked out on his own. And to play him then after, like just a couple days prior to that, he was saying basically to Real Betis, come get me. You know, I don't want to be at Arsenal. I don't want to be in the Premier League. I'm ready to go. So to put so much faith in him it's funny, Arteta puts his faith in certain players and not in others. And the ones that he puts faith in are usually the ones that continuously show their ass in these games. And it's just, I cannot understand it. Like, what's wrong with Cedric? He made one mistake against Slavia Prague, but let's be real. Jack has made a lot of mistakes. Ceballos made mistakes. So why can't Cedric, a natural fullback, come and play for either Chambers or Granit Xhaka?
It's crazy.
You want
He froze him out.
The long answer. The short answer is he just wanted a left footer to play in the left back position. The long answer is Cedric played there, and he was very dependent on his right foot whenever he's in the attacking third. And he said, "You know what? We're not going to play with We're not going to play with a left back who's going to get forward. We're going to have Dani Ceballos in the team to be an overlapping midfielder on that left hand side." And you know what? We didn't see that at all this game. But what we did see was Xhaka got beat in the opening minutes by Chukwueze, and the rest of the game he knew to sit back and not to engage at all. And also having Pablo Mari behind him instead of Gabriel didn't help us either, because when you have a left back who's not quick and you have a defender behind him in Pablo Mari, who I wouldn't say, I'm not questioning his speed, but I'm just questioning why wouldn't you have someone like Gabriel behind him, who I would say is a little bit more mobile than Mari. And I'm not questioning his speed, but I'm just saying mobility and his I'm saying Pablo Mari does not look like the guy who's the quickest on his feet when it comes to just quick decisions and muscle fibers and everything else, where Gabriel does look like he'll be able to fill that gap. And in a one-on-one situation out wide, we've seen him against plenty of different players. Like even the first game of the season against Fulham, I felt like he was perfect throughout that whole run, but he's been chopped and changed. And Arteta, you need consistency from your back line. You can't be chopping and changing every single week. And Granit Xhaka is probably going to be playing the midfield next game. So we're going to chop and change again.
Couldn't you have played Cedric in Chambers' position? I mean, Chambers been playing well, but don't you think you need at least one fullback that could create overloads on in the wide positions? You had two fullbacks that didn't get really above the halfway line. They both kind of stood next to the center backs. How do you expect us to be able to? So you have fullbacks that aren't bombing forward. You have Thomas Partey and Ceballos that have no offensive threat, and you're leaving it up to essentially Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, and Pepe to create all of your threat. Arteta put us in a position where Villarreal had such an easy game. You know, the center backs and fullbacks could double up on Saka and Pepe on both sides because there's nobody for them to mark through the center.
Jess, I'm gonna throw a wrench into your plan right now. Let's be honest. Okay. Unai Emery gave us the second half. Yeah, he gave us the second half. We've yet to speak about it yet. I'm not sure if you're going to get there, but I felt like Arteta, as bad as he set up to start the game, Unai Emery set up just as bad second half to give us a leg to get back into the game. Even with 10 men, they were not aggressive at all. So as bad as the tactics were in the opening minutes to concede the 2 goals, the rest of the game was no one was in control of it. It was absolute topsy-turvy, back and forth. Second red card coming out. Let's be real. If we're going to talk about this game, it was not a Unai Emery masterclass like some people were trying to say, and it was not a situation where Arteta got it so wrong throughout the whole 90 minutes. He got it wrong from the jump. The lineup was wrong. Everything to do with the lineup was wrong. But the players out there, once again, have shown that they don't have the intelligence to adjust to different situations. No.
I'm going to add Anthony in here. He's here. Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Hey, Jess, how you doing? Hey, what's up, lads? How's things?
Yeah, I can't even get this cast together ever. It's crazy.
This should be interesting. So, Anthony, I don't know if you were listening backstage, but Igal was basically saying that this was an Emery masterclass. It basically things evened out once Emery started to Emery the game for them as well. Do you think that that's true? Or because for me, Arteta got outmanaged. I don't think Emery had to do much to outmanage Arteta because he literally got everything wrong. But, I mean, was it as even as Igal thinks for the in the second half? I don't know if I really agree with that.
I think we kind of got lucky, to be honest. I think we saw exactly the guy that Arsenal fans wanted to get rid of in Unai Emery, because another coach would have capitalised on what Arteta gave him last night. That game, for someone else, like look at Man United, for example, were ruthless last night. They put 6 goals past Roma. Unai Emery should have done that last night. Why why he put on, I know there was supposed to be an injury or something at halftime, but he had attackers on the bench. Why the hell he did what he did, I'll never understand. He's going to be kicking himself. The end of that, I know, look, we lost the game, but we've got the lifeline. And Unai Emery has got to come out of that, I think, the more disappointed coach of the two, especially given how the game went. Arteta put that on the play for him. Like, what did we need going over there? We needed away goals. And what did you do? You didn't play a single striker. You know, what went through his mind? I'm absolutely shocked. Like,
Guardiola.
I was shocked about Xhaka at left back. And I've been saying this since Sheffield United. I said, I don't like the look of this. And people got a bit hyped after that game because, you know, he didn't really have to do anything. So it looked okay. And I seen people saying, you know, Granit Xhaka left back. And I was like, hey, slow down. Like, no, this cannot happen. This cannot keep on going. And of course, he did it against Slavia Prague. We got away with it. Did it against Fulham. I was like, you know, this is a ticking time bomb. This is an accident waiting to happen. We saw against Richarlison. We saw what can happen. Our biggest criticism of Granit Xhaka is that he doesn't have the mobility in the midfield area for most people. So why is he playing left back? You know, how bad an idea is it to stick your right full back at left back? You know, surely it's better than having Granit Xhaka left back. It just my head was ready to explode when I saw that. But then the lack of a striker was just.
What does Gabby have to do? Like, I've been so like, okay, pro Arteta, I understand you easing him in. What length, like the lengths that Arteta went to not play Gabby at striker, to me was a little bit laughable, because Emile Smith-Rowe at the false nine, what gives? Like, I don't understand it. And then, okay, Aubameyang, he comes, and could he only play 5 minutes? You know, you don't take him all the way to Villarreal if he can only play 5 minutes. He probably could have came in a little bit earlier than that, because Arteta covered his ass and said that, well, he wasn't up to the levels that he needed to be in. But I'm sure that a 70% Aubameyang is better than no striker at all. You know, it's that press conference after the game was just cover my ass. You know, Ceballos, I was going to take him out earlier, but we could have all told you that he needed to come out earlier, you know? So's for you. I know you've been very Arteta in, but is his ego something that we need to look at? You know, he's very firm in his ideas and how he thinks about the game, but should he be a little bit more flexible? Because not playing Gabby, keeping Ceballos in, those things are really costing us. You know, his inability to come up off of his philosophy sometimes, whatever that is, it's costing us now.
100%. I think the problem that Arteta had yesterday, he could have actually changed it with that starting 11. I actually liked it on paper, and I know people are going to probably have a go at that, but I thought Pepe was playing down the middle. Me and Albert had a really good chat about this on his match review, and I said, look, Pepe is a player who has played at centre forward. He has played as a striker. He can do it, and he has the ability to play off the shoulder of a defender as well. And then throughout the whole first half, I was like, okay, he might change it now. I was like, all right, it's 10 minutes now. Now you're 2-0 down. Like, come on, like, make that change. All you have to do was switch them two around, and we would have gained control of the game. The problem is in a bit. I think he's got ego. He is egotistical. I think he can't realize the fact he made a mistake, and he doesn't want to show it. And you know what? The greatest managers know when they make a mistake and they make the adjustments without even the fans knowing. Fergie was really good at it. Pep's really good at it. Klopp does it really well as well. You know, Allegri bought on, I remember against, I think it was Tottenham or Chelsea in the Champions League, they were 2-0 down, bought on 2 fullbacks and won the game. Like, this is the difference between an inexperienced or a novice manager and a manager who knows what they're doing. I am coming to that point where I'm questioning whether Arteta truly knows what he's doing, or whether he can back down and just think for a second that, okay, my plan A didn't work. Can I change this? Is there anything I can do? I don't know, because apparently his backroom staff or his coaching staff are meant to be experienced. What are they really telling him? We as novices of the sport, and I was saying this to Albert yesterday, we ain't got coaching badges between us. We've got 0 coaching badges. Well, maybe Anthony's got one, but we don't. And we can tell you exactly what you needed to do to go win that game. And the adjustment that was needed was Pepe in the middle. keep that lineup if that's what you want. And you could have actually got yourself into a position to win that game. And he didn't do it. And then in the second half, and I tweeted this, you had 15 minutes between the first half ending and the second half starting to bring Martinelli on. How much more time do you actually need to make that adjustment? It is getting a bit laughable, and I am starting to question whether he's got it, because I keep saying the players are bad. And we shouldn't be 2 goals down because of the system, because Partey and so you can blame Xhaka, or you can blame Murray, or you can blame Ceballos for not actually going in for a tackle. And that's, for me, what cost us the game. And that's why I'm positive, because I don't think he can make this mistake again. And I do think he's going to change it. And hopefully we can see Aubameyang at least play. And that will, to be honest, solve most of the system issues that we had.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I guess we could just go around and this kind of to everybody and ask, where are you with Arteta and this project? You know, Souls is basically, I know you're still Arteta in Souls. I know you are. It's just a little bit, it's harder now. It's harder to back Arteta when he makes these types of mistakes in the biggest game of our season. And it's not one little mistake. It's like he got literally everything wrong. And I'm holding on by a thread, not because I think Arteta is the best thing, but because I'm not sure if he's actually going to go. So I don't know if I should even buy into it or not. But Miguel, are you Arteta in, Arteta out? Where are you kind of with Arteta?
I'm pretty sure everyone knows where I stand on Arteta. I'm in with Arteta. But the reason is because there's deeper issues in this club and this squad. To me, it makes no sense why would we in a situation when we're rebuilding the whole squad, why would we sack the manager and have another person in who hasn't evaluated the squad try to overhaul the team? At this point, I feel like the best thing to do, with all the backroom changes from Raul to Sven Mislintat and everybody before that, Gazidis and everybody else, we need one consistent person to rebuild the squad. And if Arteta's already evaluated them this whole season, there's a reason why he sent Guendouzi on loan. We don't want another manager to come back and have to find out why he got sent out on loan. Torreira got sent out on loan. I feel like if we set ourselves up with Arteta, we might be in a better situation in a year's time. But if we were to chop and change and sack another manager, you know what? With the situation we have in the backroom staff, we don't trust them to even hire a new one. So, hey.
That's, yeah. I get what you're saying. And I do take all of that into consideration, because I know that there's big, systematic issues at Arsenal that go beyond Arteta and precede Arteta. Let me read you something, Albert, really quick, that I thought is really good time to kind of remind ourselves where Arteta started. 2019, in his first interview, I think this is when he actually got the job. Arteta said, "My philosophy will be clear. I want the football to be expressive, entertaining. I cannot have a concept of football where everything is based on the opposition. We have to dictate the game. We have to be the ones taking the initiative, and we have to entertain." Now, that's far away from what I think we've been seeing under Arteta thus far. Do you think that this is a matter of him not having the right players, or did he kind of sell us something that he probably can't do?
Oh, where do I start? You know what? I think I'm still waiting to see what this where this football's at. I mean, if Arsenal fans are asking themselves, when is the last straw? If we lose next week, or do we have to lose 17 games in the season? I don't know what's your sticking point. What's the thing that says to you this guy's going to get the summer? Because in football you can change your mind. There's nothing wrong with that. The only issue is we don't have a board or hierarchy, should I say, who are very good at making decisions. I mean, everything is there. If you strip everything back, yes, we can talk about COVID, we can talk about financial issues, but we lost, was it 14 games in all competitions we lost this season?
Yeah.
I mean, is it true we've only done a double over one team this season at Sheffield United?
No, I think we've lost more than 14 games.
Well, that's even more of a sad indictment. But
League
yeah,
Cup,
we haven't.
FA
In terms of like I said, I think in the league we've only done the double over one team. I mean, that's really shocking. What, I think equal amount of lost home games since the start of the Premier League in 92, 93. it's not, for me. I've been very consistent with Arteta in terms of, listen, any manager having those run of results, you shouldn't be in the job. I don't care if it's Arsenal, Man City, or Bolton Wanderers. You can't look at the performances, man. I mean, we played better yesterday when we had 10 men, and funny enough, when it went 10 against 10, it almost felt like it was 11 against 11. We sort of lost the initiative again. Like I said, people talk about, oh, you don't want to be a Chelsea and sack managers. I wouldn't even really look at it that way. I just think you have to look at it in terms of where your club is heading. I take into account the things going on off the pitch in terms of, 3 key figures at the club, all rookies: Arteta, Vinay, and Edu. Where does that happen at a big football club? I've never seen that happen in my life. So why was we going to get top 4? Why was we going to get, Champions League football? Yes, we have an opportunity going through the back door, but I said what I said at the beginning of the stream when I came on. Do you trust his group of players to get the job done? Our home form is terrible. Terrible.
It is.
Whether there was fans or not, it's awful. So, you know what it is? I think, even, say, for example, right, he goes to win the Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it, and I'm not going to go backtrack on it. I said it probably gets him one season, gives him another season. That might upset a lot of Arsenal fans. Twitter world would going to meltdown, but it'll get him a season. But then, and I look at it from sort of a hierarchy point of view. They might go, you know what? Yeah, he got us in Europa League, but you know what? 10th in the league, 11th in the league, possibly. 14 games lost this season, probably more. To me, you have every right to say, you know what? He might have got us in Europa League, but listen, other managers have won and still got sacked, man. This is not uncommon. So I don't think he's for me. Arteta has had quite a better time than the backing that Emery had when he was at Arsenal. He's been afforded a lot more latitude, should I say? So listen, like I said, if he goes, he stays. Arteta, to me, it's either or. Like, I just want the club to get back to the way it was before, but it's going to take a long time. Whether it is.
Albert, you just said Emery was given a lesser leash than Arteta. Arteta's been given that long of a leash. Are you sure? Because when it came down to it, Arteta was able to gain the respect back from the players. Emery lost the respect to the point where they were not even celebrating after goals were scored to equalize games.
Do you think Arteta's got? Do you think he's got the full backing of some of the players? I don't think he has.
I think he has. I think he has the backing of certain leaders in the dressing room, like David Luiz.
Like who?
Like David Luiz, for example.
I actually want to give this to Anthony really quick. Do you think he has full backing from the players? I don't know if I really think that. I don't see a team that's going out and, I mean, what are they doing? It doesn't really look like a team that's they don't look confident in what they're doing. So I'm not sure if they're confident in what Arteta is telling them to do. And, so I don't really know, but Anthony, what do you think?
If you'd asked me that question a couple of weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, definitely. I would have said the difference in what I'm seeing towards the end of the Unai Emery reign and the current Arteta reign is that Arteta, although the results might not be going the right way on the pitch, you could see, I felt like the players still kind of believed in this system that he has set them up to play. The last couple of weeks, I'm not so sure. And I think even last night, do you know what? I think the real eye-opener for me was when Lacazette came out and sort of said, we didn't stick to what the manager wanted us to do. And I kind of took that with a pinch of salt at the time. I kind of said maybe it was a bit of a translation type of thing, the way he said it. I don't think it was meant the way people took it up. But now maybe I'm kind of questioning and kind of going, you know what? Maybe they don't fully trust the game plan and the process. And the last couple of games especially, I think some of the players are kind of sitting back and kind of going, is this the guy? Because myself, I haven't been Arteta in by any means, but I've been extremely sympathetic towards Arteta, and I think the lads here will tell you that. I've been very aware of the job he has, the task he's been asked to do, and the tools he's been provided or not provided to do the job. But yeah, last night, I think the alarm bells start ringing for me last night. The formation aside, I think it's the decision making. I'm looking at it and I'm kind of going, you know what? I've been giving him kind of allowances because he's a new manager and he is learning on the job and he has all these problems going on, COVID, he's a pretty poor squad, whatever excuse you want to make for him. I've made all the excuses. I've made every single one. Now I'm at the stage where I'm sort of saying, you know what? A more experienced guy probably would have set us up differently last night. And he probably would have got something else out of that game, and he probably would have got something else out of that squad, and he would have made better decisions. So I'm not saying Arteta out, but I've crossed that line of I think the trust is broken in a sense. I am losing faith, and I think part of it was, for me, I knew regardless of what happened this season, I knew Arteta, I know he's going to be in the job next season. We know he is, whether he wins the Europa or doesn't. We know he's there till probably at least Christmas next year. And I think he knows that. And the fact that there's no fans, there's less pressure. Like, this season was almost a bit of a gimme, you know what I mean? And look, if he gets Champions League, he wins the Europa, like, it's a great achievement. But was he going anyway? No, I don't think he was. But yeah, I've sort of reached that point where I'm kind of going, I don't know if this is the guy that's gonna elevate us to the next level. But I have said this throughout the season. I said, I've never put my eggs all in the Arteta basket. I've always said, Arteta might not be the guy, but he might be the guy to, elevate us just to the next level for the next man to come in. So if he can secure Champions League football, if he can make a few improvements and adjustments, with the mindset in around the club, give us something back, and then maybe he moves elsewhere and a more experienced guy comes in, if we have Champions League football where we might start getting a bit more backing. Hopefully, we don't know what's going on with the owners, but, maybe we become a more attractive proposition, because I feel like the reason why we got Arteta in the first place is because, what kind of self-respecting coach at the top of his game was going to take over this club with the issues. You've no money to spend. You've got to clear a lot of guys off the books, and the fan base expects you in top four. Like, come on, there's a reason why guys like Allegri were not going to say, yeah, I've won 7 Serie A's in a row and I'm going to come here and have to do all that. Like, no, they want a ready-made competitive side. And
Allegri definitely wasn't going to come here, and neither was Ancelotti. They were kind of available when Arteta was being considered, and I think we have to take that into consideration when we're talking about if managers could come in. Do they actually want to be a part of this project? But we have some people that have called in, so I'm going to go ahead and add them in. So, Albert, Can I drop you out? I don't want to. I don't want to be like, hey, like, get out, But I want to ask you if it's okay.
It's your show.
Albert, thank you so much for being here, and we'll do something soon because I miss my buddy. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know, man. I know. Times, guys.
He's moving into a mansion, isn't it? That's the problem.
Are you moving into a mansion?
No. Yeah, just before you kick me out with Arteta, the thing is, sometimes in life when football, it's about timing, and for him being a point when it wasn't the right time. It was too much of a risk. And the only people you can blame for that is our beloved owners.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely don't think it's the right time for him either.
No.
But Albert, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Also going to drop out Anthony. Thank you so much for showing up and being here. I know you have a busy life, but thank you.
I can hear a lot of
noise ready for next week, lad.
Later, Anthony.
Talk to you soon.
It was great. Thanks for having me. And it's good to meet you, Igal, as well.
Later, Anthony. I tried to come on your stream the other day, but
yeah. Hey, look, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen soon. Right, have a good one. See you later. Thanks.
Can I just mention Velvishwan? To say the FA Cup was a fluke is kind of harsh. I don't think you could say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it definitely wasn't a fluke, but we have Abdallah here and New Dawn Games. What's your first name? New Dawn Games. Is it new? What is your first name?
Best call me Joe. Most people
Joe?
call me Joe. Yeah, Joe.
Joe? Well, it's nice to meet you. You're always in the stream. So yeah, but Abdallah, are you an Arsenal fan? I thought you were
Chelsea fan.
No.
Here we go. Okay.
Listen, Igal's my guy as well. I'm on his channel a lot. I'm actually a mod as well, and he knows that I only give bants, at an appropriate time. Right now, it's not an appropriate time for bants.
It's really, really not. Take it easy on us. We are going through it. But Abdallah, what are your ideas about, Arteta and his tenure so far, and the idea that maybe he's the right coach, but it's the wrong time? Because timing is everything, like Albert said, and I just don't think we're a club that's in the right position to have such a novice coach. I mean, we're an elite, club in history, but should we have hired a novice? What are your ideas on that?
Okay, so how do we start this off? Let's start with where Arsenal came from. In 2004, you had a team where you had some of the best ballers that I've ever seen in my life. Dennis Bergkamp, my God, that guy could flipping pick a pass out from anywhere. Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira, some of the greatest Premier League ballers to ever play. Now everyone knows that once you've built a team that good and you've experienced a good few years of success, naturally football goes in cycles and you're generally going to take a bit of a downturn. And that downturn was further, progressed when you moved to the Emirates because you needed to try and finance the stadium debt that came with it, right? And now, where I will big up Arsene Wenger, despite the fact that I do think coming towards the end of his reign, he was a bit too stuck up in his ways, was that he did manage to guide you through that period where Arsenal were probably going to go in a downturn. And that's where I will big up Wenger for it. And obviously, the thing is, at some point, Wenger was going to leave. He's your greatest ever manager, gave you the best memories, and he was going to leave. And it was really about trying to get the next guy in who's going to bring in his own new ideas and build the foundations to develop a new and not so much improved, but a new version of Arsenal for their fans to experience, where there's a bit more unpredictability about you. There's a bit more, I wouldn't even go as far as to say more excitement, but a bit more like a bit more attacking impotence to get it. Mm-hmm. And I think so. Unai Emery would have been the right guy. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for whatever reason. I don't know why. And then you went and appointed Mikel Arteta. Now, there's two ways of looking at the Mikel Arteta one. You can either say he's an up-and-coming young manager. He's worked under one of the best managers to ever, be in the game, Pep Guardiola, who also worked under Johan Cruyff, who's just a straight don of football as well. Or you could look at it as Stan Kroenke didn't want to go and spend the right dough to go get a manager that is suitable for a club the size of Arsenal. Because I'm a Chelsea fan and I joke all the time saying Arsenal are a tiny club, won the Champions League. But if we're being serious, Arsenal's still one of the biggest clubs in England, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and there's a certain caliber of manager you need to get out there to maintain a standard. Unfortunately, you've been run by a bunch of mercenaries for 13 years, and this is where I will probably get on to Arsene Wenger, as I said earlier, because he never, ever, ever called them out. He never said it as it was. He just acted like a human shield for them. So that's why I don't know. I'm still not sure if Mikel Arteta is the right manager, but I don't think that anything that's happened in the past, especially with people like Ivan Gazidis and Stan Kroenke and David Dean and all of them, I'm not sure it's particularly fair to judge Mikel Arteta. However, and this is where I will say however, he's had more backing than Unai Emery did in less time, including contract renewals and signings themselves. He wanted Willian, he got Willian. He wanted Thomas Partey, he got Thomas Partey. He wanted Gabriel, he got Gabriel. Unfortunately,
well, actually, he wanted Awar, but got Partey. But yeah, I'll let you off.
No, there's some flaws in what you've said. One, the owner brought in Arteta because they've seen what's happened with their NFL franchise and what's happened with their NBA team and how the success they've had with bringing in a first-time up-and-coming manager and getting them to the Super Bowl and getting them to Western Conference Finals. And you know what? They said, maybe we could do the same thing with football. We don't need the most experienced manager. We can get an up-and-coming manager and build them from the ground up. And he will obviously be willing to take the job because he has no experience. So that's what they thought they were getting in Arteta. They thought they were getting another Malone or what's his name? I forget the coach's name for the Rams, but you guys get the drift of what I'm saying. They're using their experiences in their North American franchises to try to bring that over to football.
Yeah. And I think that this all goes back to, like, I hear you, but, like, I don't really believe that Arteta has that much of a better squad or has gotten that much more backing. I think both teams that Emery had and Arteta has are very unbalanced. So regardless to what the caliber level of these players are, if the sum of the parts don't go together and create a cohesive team, you're never going to be able to survive it. Emery suffered from having an imbalanced squad, and so is Arteta. So I think that that's kind of like neither here nor there. I hear you about, Arsene shielding the owners. Arteta is going to be the exact same way. He's a toe the company line type of guy. So I don't know if we'll ever get a manager that's just going to come out here and say, like, hey, these guys are running the place into the ground. But I think that just comes when you're a new manager. You just want to kind of ease your way in. He doesn't have enough clout to be saying the Cronkies don't know what they're doing, so I don't really blame him for that. But I do kind of feel like we needed a more experienced manager after Arsene Wenger. I mean, you can't come in after an iconic manager like that and not be somebody with your own bravado, somebody that, I mean, I just think about players like David Luiz and Aubameyang that have played under really, really good managers. I mean, didn't Aubameyang play under Klopp at a certain point of time? Tuchel at Dortmund for a little bit of time. David Luiz played under Jose Mourinho and other great managers, and then now they're playing under Arteta. I can see where there might be some, does this guy really know what he's doing? Joe, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's kind of maybe what's going on? The players, they played under better managers or more experienced managers, so maybe they're looking at Arteta like, what is this guy talking about?
I'd be, first of all, I'm going to ask you a question, but I just want to say I love your stream. I think it's supposed to bring me on. Like, this is mad. I just went on YouTube, saw that you were on, saw the link, and props to you. I think you're doing a great job. But to your question, I think it's inevitable, isn't it? Because first of all, it's his first job as a manager. And, in addition to that, he hasn't delivered what he said he was going to deliver. And he's only a few years older than some of the oldest players. He's not even 40. So I think it would be very surprising if players weren't having that type of those question marks over him, like a lot of the fans do. I think what's surprising to me actually is the way that so many of the players have come out and said, he's brilliant, he's a genius at tactics, etc. And I think you've mentioned it a few times on your stream, Chess, that as a coach, clearly he's got pedigree, because otherwise he wouldn't have the respect that he has with coaching peers amongst his players, at least the ones that have come out publicly and said that about him. And I think at this point, I hear everyone who's saying it was the wrong appointment at the time. We needed someone with a lot more experience. I think that was definitely the case at the point of Emery's appointment. I think Emery was the wrong appointment. I think that just let our problems that started in the Wenger era just continue to fester. And I think while I completely agree with all the points that people wanting Arteta out about his mistakes that he makes in games, his reticence to be, his inflexibility and everything else that everyone else has commented, I do think that there's something that if I keep going back to his first press conference, when he arrived, and I wasn't for the Arteta sign for the Arteta as a manager until I saw that that press conference, because I thought he's just said exactly everything that we need. And the question is, can he deliver it? Because if he can deliver what he said he was going to deliver, to me, there's no question that Arteta's the right man. But a season and a half on, he hasn't delivered it. And so if you're at the point where you think we need to get rid of him at the end of the season and go for someone new, I completely get that. For me personally, I look at it a little bit more long term, and I think in addition to his shortcomings, you do also have to factor in the cluster, I'm not going to say the second part of the word, of a season, a perfect storm that he walked into. You know, he walked in mid-season with a festering squad, low morale, massively underperforming, out of the Champions League. Couple of months later, the global pandemic, he's one of the first people in the Premier League to get coronavirus. You know, and it's not just the fans missing and how that's impacted our finances in terms of buying players. It's also the fact that it's just congested the fixtures where it's exacerbated injury problems, tiredness, fatigue. Those things affect performance. And there's a bunch of other mitigating factors that have contributed to our team underperforming, as well as his shortcomings, which are to be expected because it's his first job. The question is, should he have hired him? I think yes or no. It really just depends on what you want for Arsenal and how much you believe whether he can deliver what he said he was going to deliver. I just think that he hasn't really had. It hasn't really worked out for him for a lot of different reasons at this point.
It hasn't kicked off. You know, it really hasn't kicked off the way that we thought it was going to. Yeah, go ahead, Souls. Go ahead.
What I want to say, right? I think the reason why I'm not Arteta out, or nor have I said I want the manager out, is because I think the context behind everything is really needed. You've got to understand most of his signings haven't been available for selection for most of the season. He really wanted Tierney. In January, we got rid of our backup left back. When did the board even bother to look for one? They didn't. They had a full 30-day window to get him a backup left back, and they didn't. They kept spouting names out. Oh, we'll go for Van Aanholt and many others.
Junior Frimpong last day.
Yeah.
He turned down, actually.
None of them came through.
We had the loan sorted out with Barcelona. The player said he doesn't want to move to England on the last day of the window.
Yeah, and then you got to look at the likes of Partey coming in injured. Again, another player we've signed who's injured before we've even bought them. Like, what is this medical staff doing? And then you had the likes of Gabriel, who got COVID and then a little injury with this red card. Then you have obviously the likes of David Luiz now picking up an injury, and this is part of the problem. And I do think when he had a full fit squad, the tactics he was playing, even under this 4-2-3-1, were actually good. If we break down some of our good performances, the problem is consistency hasn't been there. If we look at I think Leno, since he's come to the Premier League, has led to 6 mistakes leading to goal. Jack has had about 8. Then you've got David Luiz making red cards. We've had the worst disciplinary record within the Premier League with, I think, 6 or 7 red cards this season. And all of them are not the manager's fault. And I think that's the reason why I can't say Arteta out, because the mistakes and the errors that have led to us losing and dropping points isn't a managerial issue. It's more of an individual mistakes and individuals who don't want to improve their game. And I think once and the other thing is, when you look at the signings and the targets he went for, Partey, we needed a CDM. We needed one since Vieira for 17 years. We haven't had that sort of dominating presence in midfield. We've known we needed a good centre back. What did he do? Go get a centre back. We've known we needed to get, potentially a number 10. He wanted a war. Partey, and Gabriel, Upamecano, and whoever else we could go for centre back. Obviously, they decided to go with Gabriel, who is now looking to be quite a decent signing. And that's part of what I think. I think once he's fully backed and he gets the squad he wants, he will. I'm going to say it, if he got a £200 million window like Lampard did, he wouldn't flop. He would actually get us into top 4, no problem, because his tactics aren't the issue. It's just the fact he's had so many injuries where he's having to forcefully make these changes.
Can I add on to that?
Hold on really quick. Let me just add somebody else in. But Joe, I want to thank you for being here, and you're always in the chat doing such a good job. So thank you, for coming in here. And I know it has to be kind of like, what are we doing? But you are awesome, so thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'll be watching all from the sides.
Awesome. See you later. And Abdallah, I'm going to go ahead and drop you out too. Good points, but you're a Chelsea fan and they're asking you for bans, and I can't have that on my stream right now. So, but I'll talk to you soon, okay?
I want hypocrites, I'm trying to be respectful. All the bans I give is on Igal's channel, so you can go tune in. Yeah, big up to everyone on the panel. I got loads of respect for you, and I guess what it is. But yeah, thanks for bringing on, Jess. Big up to you as well.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
Peace out.
All right, we're going to go ahead and add Dean in here as well. Dean, hey, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. So, Igal, I think you're about to say something, weren't you?
No, let Dean go, and then I'll just respond to Dean.
Yeah,
No.
Dean, what are your thoughts?
So, I mean, I can piggyback off of what Souls was just saying. You know, I kind of completely agree. I've been fairly patient with Arteta. I don't think having another manager in 18 months is a good recipe for success. You know, he's still dealing with having to rotate and get rid of a lot of the Emery players who we all have out on loan right now pretty much and cycle through those and get his own players. So I definitely want to give him the summer, give him some hopefully money and backing and see how it goes from there. Same thing, speaking of, I see someone in the chat was saying everyone has to deal with VAR and things like that. Arsenal leads the league right now in -7 VAR decisions to go against them. We are, I think, 9 points behind West Ham, who are in 5th right now. So that, you know, if you can get 9 points out of -7 VAR decisions, which is probably pretty easy to do since those decisions are going to be red cards, goals, things like that, we could be sitting in 5th right now. And this is a totally different, you know, conversation we're having. We're thinking, man, we hit a home run. We have a young manager. We're 5th in the league. We still have, you know, probably some squad things we can do, but players to rotate in and out. But you know, just thinking of that, it could be such a different conversation if, you know, Luis didn't get that red card, the Pepe offsides, that was, who knows what that was a couple weeks ago, right? You know, so it's really hard to, like Sol was saying, fault Arteta for a lot of this, even though it is getting a little bit harder to see and to be, you know, backing Arteta when he gets, you know, the lineups. I don't want to say wrong, but he's got a little bit of Pep of that in him where, you know, people question Pep's tactics from time to time. Same thing with, I don't know what's going on with his substitutions, but he's been having a lot of interesting substitutions.
What substitutions? I mean, you can tell he has that Arsene about him where I think that this is right. So, because Arsene didn't make substitutions until way later as well. So I think he has that in him, which is okay when it's working. You know, if it's not working, you don't have one of the best teams. You know, at the time, Arsene had one of the best teams. So naturally, you would think that it's going to work at some point. You'd have to get some things to click. Right now, Arteta's things only really work 30% of the time, 40% of the time. So he needs to be a little bit more flexible. But Igal, I want to get your ideas on, I'm pretty sure you and Dean have some similar ideas about, you know, Arteta and, you know, the idea about having context involved in how we analyze what Arteta is doing. But at a certain point, does it become excuses? You know, I see a lot of comments in the, you know, in the chat box about context being used for excuses. When do we start holding Arteta accountable? When is the time?
Okay. Let me ask you this. I'll formulate in a question for everyone, and I just want a yes or no question. Do you feel like there's deeper issues than just Arteta?
Yes.
I feel like everyone would say yes, right?
Yeah, of course.
Do you feel like there's been an issue with the hierarchy behind him in the time that he's been here? Everyone would say yes, right? Do you feel like that we lack leadership within the squad?
Yeah.
Okay.
50-50,
I
but
could
yeah.
make a list of probably 10 to 15 things that I could name, and majority of people would say 100% yes, right? So with that, do you feel like to address all those issues would bring in a different manager having to identify all those problems and solve them himself, or keeping Arteta and letting him address the issues, because we're going to have a massive exodus in the summer, plus the players who've already left and the players that we're trying to bring in? Who would you give those tools to? Would you give those tools to a more experienced manager and say, you know what, I hope he can identify this by using the eye test without having game time to see this, or have somebody already in-house to address those issues? Because behind him we have Vinay, who's never done anything football related in his life. We have Edu, who is also inexperienced in his first job. And you know what, as much as we make for per Mertesacker being inexperienced also, he's probably the one person in the job who's actually getting results, because he's getting players from the academy system coming to us and performing. So you know what, I would rather trust the person that I know than trust the person that I don't know, who could come in and could be just as bad. Imagine the next person we hire is Graham Potter, because everyone wants Graham Potter now.
And Hasenhüttl, but neither of them are in a position where they're at clubs that have the expectations of Arsenal. They could crack under the pressure, so I don't really think that that's necessarily what I would be looking for, but I do think that, you do have to add the context in there. But I do think that we have to be realistic in thinking that there is a percentage in which maybe a more experienced manager could improve the team. But I don't think that that percentage is 5th place. I really, really don't. I think we're looking at 8th place, something around that. The team is not good enough. The team is not good enough. But
and that's what I've been saying to people. The thing is, yes, we can bring a new manager, will they? The thing is, people's excuses for a new manager are, oh, we'll do better. And I'm like, yeah, what, be 8th? Yeah, yeah, but it's better, isn't it? Or we'll be fighting for top 6. For me, that just goes to show how much of an issue behind the manager there actually is. Because if we're sitting there, a new manager will get us 6th, and I'm not saying people are content with that, but they're okay with that, and they're okay with the fact that a new manager or an experienced manager coming in will get us 6th. I have to ask what your priorities are, because I want to be competing again, and to compete, the Cronkies need to go. Or this board needs an overhaul. We need to bring in, because look, Edu, I don't have a problem with, because I think his South American connection.
Right there, bro. Question: what you said right there, I need to question one thing. Is Arteta? Have we seen enough evidence that Arteta is the sole problem?
No, yesterday he was pretty much one of the sole problems. But that was the first time in a long time that I looked at what Arteta did and said, "Wow, he got it completely wrong." But let me add Gary in here. Gary is here. Hey, Gary, how are you? Sorry, I caught you right in the middle of taking a drink. My bad.
We're gonna get a lot of Jack.
I thought I would slip it in.
Sorry.
Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you, Jess, for letting me on.
No problem.
Saul's Eagle, and is that
first
Dean?
time seeing DWTT actually in person.
You guys,
it's my first time being on with it all, so great seeing you.
What needs to happen against Newcastle? I know that that's not a game that's like super important, but up until this point, Arteta has taken games that are in between our European fixtures and used them as like almost practice, for the European games. And he's played strong teams. But now it's do or die. Thursday is the game. We're going to be playing against a Newcastle team, which is in a better vein of form than they have been, before. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. Is this the game that Arteta needs to just not mess around and not risk any of our players and play literally the scrubs, like Aziz, like throw Balogun in there, do that kind of stuff? Or does he need to, again, use this as a time to maybe work through some of the kinks of the system that didn't work against Villarreal in the first leg? I want to throw that to Dean first and then to Gary.
I wouldn't mind seeing the kids play. I would definitely like to see, you can go both ways, right? We have a lot of players who are coming back from injuries, who are coming back from, malaria, things like that. So I want to see, what Arteta's kind of done in the past too is giving guys coming back from injury some run to see, kind of a fitness test. So if Tierney is back, Aubameyang is back, I'd like to see them get, at least 30, 40 minutes maybe, in the back of the game, but definitely start out with the kids. Because, like you said, Newcastle, at this point of the season for us, it's not going to make a difference. We're going to finish, 11th or 9th or something like that. So, the difference in the money at the end of the year between that for us isn't going to be that big of a difference. So give Balogun a chance, give Aziz some run, give some of these other players who haven't been playing some run, and definitely protect the ones we need, because it is definitely do or die on Thursday. And Europa League is our only path to anything in terms of European football next year, as well as if we do somehow end up getting past Villarreal and then getting to the Europa League final, getting back to Champions League that way, that money that we'll get from that is going to offset whatever the finish in the Premier League is anyway. So I would definitely be for playing some of those youngsters and resting the key players for Thursday.
Gary, what do you think? Dress rehearsal for the game against Villarreal, or just don't take any risks?
I kind of want both. So I want the youth to come in, but I also feel like we need to have some of the players that are coming off injuries and whatnot to actually get some minutes. He had Aubameyang fly out to Spain and he gave him 5 minutes because he said that's about all he could give him. And I feel like if that's the case for me, Aubameyang, I would hope to see him play this weekend so that he's fully and ready to go on Thursday. Most of his time away from the field hasn't been because of, luckily, I'm knocking on wood, muscle injuries or anything like that. It's been, this malaria is basically the one thing that's kind of kept him from playing, or him being late, right, to a game. But otherwise, he's pretty much been reliable in the sense that, when he's ready to go, he's there. So I think I would like to see him get in there because I want him to be primed and ready to go, not trying to figure out this football thing all over again from the time he's been sitting out. So Aubameyang, I definitely would like to have him play. Similarly, I kind of feel like if Kieran Tierney is healthy, then he probably needs some minutes as well, but not as much as an Aubameyang does. So bring him back, let him play. Let him play maybe in the second half. Towards the end of the game. Anybody else that's coming in that's been out for a while, similarly, I would like to see that. Now, I don't know if we're going to have enough subs to do that, so somebody's going to have to start and maybe come out at halftime for that to make sense. I would like to see Aziz and Balogun definitely get a shirt. At least get a shirt. If they get a start, that'll be really nice. But I think those two need to be in the squad. I would like to see them play. Of course, I'd like to see Balogun play just so that we have we can see what he's got. Aziz, I think, as well. Otherwise, I feel like anybody that's on that, if anybody else that needs to be covered in cotton wool, do it. But after that last game, I don't know what I saw from that. I can say, all right, we can build on that and use it on Thursday a week later. I kind of feel like I would like to see, if he,
it needs to be scrapped. Gary, it needs to be scrapped.
So for me, it's like, do we put in a squad and a formation that we're going to use on Thursday, and then we can build on that and and figure out what we need to work on so that when we come in on Thursday, we're ready to go, because we've never seen that formation in a while. And we saw it in the biggest game of the year. And now we've got another biggest game of the year coming up on Thursday. So I don't want to be trying out anything new. A lot of people, I kind of feel he overthinks things and tries to surprise the team. And I think he surprises his own team when that happens. And then we see what that looks like. It looks like a team that's just like, wait a second, you want us to do what? We've been doing this.
They look completely confused. 100%. I agree with that. But did you want to say something, Miguel? Were you coming in?
Unpopular opinion. You said scrap it, but when you really look at it, it's not that different from this situation.
Scrap the false nine for sure. Scrap that.
Yeah. I get that part. But if we had a striker playing, it would be pretty much the same way we'd be playing this Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. But I do think that even Xhaka at left back needs to be rethought. It's just, to me, it's been exposed. And just a preview to the Thursday game, I would like to see us go back to a 4-2-3-1, something that we played multiple times that makes sense. I think Xhaka needs to come back into the midfield because Thomas needs help. I know that we played in certain games where we're able to play kind of like with a V like this, and Thomas could just kind of play by himself. But I think the last game really showed that he needs assistance, and Xhaka can give him that. And I want to see us just kind of go back to basics a little bit. Don't overthink it, because these players can't play at a high level and overthink at the same time. That's just not their strength. They're not really good enough to do that. What?
You hit the nail on the head. They lack intelligence, but we haven't talked about one thing, Jess. Mm-hmm. No one has yet mentioned this. We've mentioned the fact that we don't have players fit, but we are depending on a small group of players to consistently be fit for us to be successful. And if those small group of players are not fit, we don't have alternatives, which we have mentioned. But can you mention 3 players this team needs more than any other player? Kieran Tierney, David Luiz, and Aubameyang or Lacazette being fit. I would say those 4 players are more.
You need Thomas Partey as well.
Thomas Partey too, but we've been able to at least get a good run of results without Thomas Partey.
That's true.
Tierney, Aubameyang, at least Lacazette or Aubameyang, and then
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think David Luiz needs to come back in.
No, I mentioned David Luiz, but I'm putting Aubameyang and thing together as one, and then David Luiz as the most important. And the reason why I say that is those 3 guys, those 3 pieces are the most important. Defensively, David Luiz, the biggest leader. Kieran Tierney drives the attack and the defense, and he connects the 2 with the left flank. And then Aubameyang or Lacazette are the goal scorers. So without those 3, you're guaranteeing a victory for Villarreal the next round. If we can get those 3 back and fit, and you know what, this whole game was a bluff, by Arteta, you know what? We could win the next game, same way we beat Slavia Prague, and we'll be in the final. And you know what? Arteta has Arteta has Manchester United's calling card. He's beaten Oli every single time he's faced him. And as much as we're making fun of Granit Xhaka at left back, I didn't watch the Everton game. I seen the highlights back, and I'll tell you this: it was not as bad this game. Even though Chukwueze did get past him the first moment, he was not as bad this game. And I'm hoping.
I guess a question. Can I ask a question on that? What you saw, like if we had put in a totally different formation, brought in a striker, how do you think? You think that game would have been 2-0 with 30 minutes into the match? I mean, I kind of feel like it wouldn't. I felt like we would have been able to put a little bit of pressure on them because we've been playing a system we've been playing all season. So
we need a focal point. I agree with we literally cannot play without a focal point because we're not good enough to do so. But I do want to kind of go around in a circle and just, what do you guys think? Like, give us 3 players. I know Gal already kind of did that, but 3 players that absolutely have to play against Villarreal in the second leg for us to be successful. I'll go with Dean first.
If they're healthy, Tierney's
yeah.
one for sure. I would say Saka is a must play in any, for us in any position. Even if Tierney's not healthy, needing a goal, I wouldn't be as opposed to putting Saka back at left back. Just get a little bit more of attack minding going forward, and putting Pepe, starting him, Odegaard and ESR, and then assuming that Aubameyang or Lacazette are healthy. Just having that, but Saka has to start in any position. And then for me, it's Partey. He makes everything run in the midfield. We need to get him help. We need to get Xhaka out of left back, even though, agreeing with the gal, he hasn't been that bad. I was a lot more worried when we started out as to what it would be, especially coming up against, Richarlison, Chukwueze, players like that who are definitely way more creative and faster than he is. He's held his own for the most part, against I think against both of them, right? I think they had Ceballos kind of over on that side covering him as well, which we want to get into Ceballos. He's one that definitely is not part of it. I guess my question too for him is, if I just saw that it's been, about a month or so now that he's been, he's not going to be renewed, not coming back. If they decided that a month ago, why is he playing for us in Europa League games and things like that? I mean, I know he's a body, but if you already know he's not coming back, you got to start developing other players for our future, not wherever he's going to play next year, because I don't think it's going to be Madrid either. But that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, for me, it's Tierney if he's healthy, Saka, in any position, even if Tierney's not healthy, he's got to play either left back or back up in attack, and then Partey has to hold down the midfield.
Souls, what do you think? Who has to be in that side? And you have some ideas on how we can change what we did in that first leg to be more successful in the second. So what are your ideas on that?
Yeah, on this sort of formation, and I touched on it earlier, the only thing Arteta actually needed to do was tell Smith Rowe, go back onto the left, and I'm going to put Pepe up top. When he's seen it in the first 5 or 10 minutes where it wasn't working, Pepe can be a focal point. He's done it before. He's done it at before we signed him, and he could have done it today. And that's why I keep saying his naivety yesterday was a problem, because that's literally all he does, and we gain control back. He should have done it as soon as we were 1-0 down, said, right, this isn't working. Let me put a focal point. I've got one on the pitch. I don't need to make a substitution for it, and let's go for it. Alternatively, he could have got Saka and Xhaka to swap, and he could have made that midfield a 3 midfield. And then that way, we would have controlled the midfield a bit better, gone into a back 3, and tried to get this game under control. But he didn't do either one of those things. And that's the reason why I think the 3 players for me personally need to be playing this game: Saka, Pepe, and Tierney.
Awesome. Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like what I want to see us play is, I think, Lacazette up top. I think I want him to, I feel like we need him up there because he does a lot of work for us, and he is a focal point when he's up there, but he will support us wherever we need him. He'll come all the way back to midfield if he needs to. He shouldn't have to, because my next player, Partey, needs to play. I don't think we can get anywhere without him playing in the middle. Since he's been playing, I think the middle's been better. It's nowhere close to good, I think, because I don't think he's healthy. mentally and physically. I think the two don't work. The two are a reason why we see him struggle. I think yesterday, one of the things that I saw that was just kind of disappointing is the communication between him and Xhaka just didn't seem to be right. The passes going back and forth between the two just were never. It was like they couldn't tell what the other person was going to be, and the passes just never made it. I mean, right at the end of the first half, you saw the boot from Partey just goes out of bounds, and I think he's looking for Xhaka to come up. Xhaka is for some reason staying back, and I think just the communication between the two was off. Whereas I feel like if, like you said, if we move Xhaka up to the midfield, maybe he'll allow Partey to take over that middle like he's done in the past, and he can support him wherever he needs to be. So that's my, so Partey definitely is my second. And then the third is, it's everyone else, but I feel like, I'm looking forward to seeing, our defense wasn't as bad as I thought it was yesterday, but I think we definitely need to solidify it. I mean, I would like to see Luis back, and if he comes back, that to me means Gabriel comes back as well. And I think that combo for me is better than the Holding Marie combo is for me, because I think Luis can get the most out of Gabriel, and he also has some experience, which I think is key for us. And I think they will want to score on us, and we've yet to stop anybody from scoring on us in the last 9 games, and we need that tomorrow. We need it on Thursday. The best chance I think of that is, it would be a Kieran Tierney to start if he's healthy. We'll see, but I just feel like in that middle we have that combo in there that will support us better than what we've seen in the past.
I agree 110%. Igal, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because I know that you have things to do, but any final thoughts?
Okay, I'm going to articulate this in the quickest way possible. When it comes down to the deep lining issues, I mean, we lack consistency over a 38-game period. Until we get that, we're never going to get better. We have an over-reliance on 2 to 3 players to score a lot of the goals and 2 to 3 players to always keep us defensively sound. So we need to get at least a team of 8 players that we can depend on. So in case some of those guys are injured, we still have another. I know that sounds tough, but just look at the best team in the world. They can depend on at least 8 players every single game. Now, the youngsters, we over-reliance on them. And you know what? Arteta does make a lot of mistakes, but I know it sounds like an excuse that I'm making for him, but these are things that are undeniable. And I just wanted to show that, hey, at the end of the day, if you're going to be in a prolonged period of rebuilding, we need an influx of cash to get that situation fixed. And you know what? The balance of the squad will go the moment that we put that influx of cash.
I love it. You heard it from Miguel there. He feels like we just have too many underlying issues, and Arteta in. So, well, thank you so much for being here, Miguel. I really appreciate it making time, for me. And where can everybody find you?
You guys already know to catch me at EGTV, and if you want to check me out on Twitter, that's where I do a lot of the arguing. So check me out on Twitter at @TheKidEG. All
right, follow Igal and argue with him on Twitter, and I'll see you soon. All right.
There you go, Jess. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Dean, I want to thank you so much for coming on. You were awesome. Where do you want people to follow you? Do you want people to find you?
No, yeah, absolutely. love all the love the banter as well. So even for the Chelsea fans out there, I welcome it. I'm at the Chuck 31 on Twitter. I also want to shamelessly plug my boys over at not another Arsenal podcast, Mike Hers and the boys. They're doing a great job over there. Another one I really enjoy. You too as well, Jess. Great job, love it. So. We'll be finishing this out on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon, all right?
Thank you.
Bye. Gary, where can everybody find you? And all that good stuff.
All right. Yeah, so DWTT on our YouTube. Type in DWTT Arsenal. I'll pop up first. I do a segment called My 5. I pick 5 players from the game, and I'll talk about them. So you should look out for that. It should be out within the next 24 hours. I'll talk about the game. I'll try to find something positive, and because it's too much negative to go, but I'll try to find something good to talk about there. You can find me on Twitter. Don't waste a tweet. And I typically am on Arsenal Fan Circle twice a week, Sundays and Thursdays.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Bye, take care. I also want to thank Anthony from the Republic of Arsenal for being here. He was awesome, and as well as Albert. They both have their own channels, so make sure that you follow them, and I'll make sure to put it in the description box. Souls, any final thoughts, any last rants for me? You know, you always have the best rants. You always have the best, you know, insight. So give it a good go. Let me know what needs to happen and all that kind of stuff.
And I just think, obviously, when it comes to next week, we need to be tactically aware of what we're doing. We don't need to experiment, because the problem that we had was Odegaard, Smith Rowe, Ceballos are 2-3 very similar players occupying same positions. They weren't making runs. They were too similar. And every time they had the ball, they were quite next to each other. And that's kind of the problem. I've always said off-ball running in this game would have been the key to win it. And that's what we did. None of that. No one off the ball was making any intelligent runs. If they did, it weren't being picked out. And then we didn't play with, and I said this is a game for pacey forwards. Okay, Aubameyang might not be fit, which obviously Arteta kind of said he can only have like 5 or 10 minutes. Why Martinelli wasn't playing, I don't understand. Saka was fine. Pepe was fine. Then you play Martinelli. If you don't want to play Martinelli, I don't even want to say it, but you bring in Nketiah, because we missed that focal point. And I said it again, what you do is you bring Pepe into the middle, and that's a simple fix. Straight as soon as you got 1-0 down in first 5 minutes, she should have done that. I don't understand why he didn't do that. And then, but the only thing that, and I'm going to end this on a positive, is we've got Aubameyang hopefully back. We've got Tierney back, David Luiz back. And like Igal and many others were saying in the stream, they are vital for us winning this game. And that's the reason why I'm optimistic that we can actually get the result. The players returning are exactly what we need to break this Villarreal team down. If you look at it, Emery's not going to change his ways, because he didn't do it against Barcelona, didn't do it against Real Madrid, didn't do it against Atletico Madrid. He always plays with a high line, wants to defend from the front, and then if the ball does happen to come back into their defenders, they'll defend. But you'll also see they're very attracted to the ball. They're ball-watching defenders, and that's why I always say if you move the focus away from the players off the ball and make the runs, that's what we need to do, and that's what he needs to be drilling them on. He needs to drill them on their off-ball movement, and maybe introducing Lacazette is exactly what we need. Someone who can just hold the ball up whilst they make the runs. And then you've got Pepe, who can have a lot more freedom. And the reason why I said Saka for me is important. I'd rather him play defensively, because I think when he gets into those opportunities, either it's confidence or he doesn't have the ability to finish these chances off. At the start of the season, I was like, wow, we've got a player on our hands, because he's adding goals. I think he ended up on, like, in the first sort of 20 games, he was on 5 or 6 goals and still had the assist numbers that he had. Last season, he played left back and had double figures assists within half a season. We need to be implementing him in that way and stop playing him as an inside forward. And that's, for me, another change that we can make. And that's why I'm optimistic. And it sounds bizarre, but it is 2-1. All we need to do is score a goal and defend like our lives. I know it's Arsenal, we can't do it. And that's why I think the most likely outcome is going to penalties on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be close. You know, I don't think we're just going to walk through. I don't think it's going to be like the second leg against Slavia Prague at all. And, you know, we'll see. But where can everybody find you before I let you go, Souls?
Yeah, you can find me on, obviously, Gunnar Souls on YouTube. And then on Twitter, it's @Let'sDebateFooty.
All right, awesome. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, guys, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hear people thinking that, asking if I'm going to be doing this again, try to implement this somehow, you know, into the normal schedule. But yeah, I think this is the perfect time to do this because we're all so emotional over the game and all that kind of stuff. But although I think Arteta was probably the wrong appointment from the beginning, we needed somebody a little bit more experienced. Now that he's here, I would like to see him be successful, because for me, once you're the Arsenal manager, I back you. And this game really shook my confidence in terms of Arteta. It really made me think, like, what is this guy really about? You know, it really shook me because I've been very pro Arteta for a while. And it just took me back to before December, where I was trying to figure out what this guy was all about. But he can't get it any worse. You know, that first leg was all wrong in every way, shape, and form. So he can't get it any worse than that. And I'm hoping that he just goes back to something that the players feel comfortable. And I hope players like David Luiz and Tierney are able to play in this game. I know that it's risky because they haven't really played that much, but we need our most leader, our leaders, our best players. We need them out there on the field. And that includes David Luiz and Kieran Tierney and Lacazette / Aubameyang. So I'm hoping those things happen. And I'm cautiously optimistic. I do think that we would have to play out of our skins to get this over the line. As Sol said, it's not going to be close, or it's not going to be easy, but we can do it. So hopefully the team has enough within them. And, we'll see what happens. But you guys, I'm going dark for the rest of the day and for the next couple of days in solidarity with the No More Racism campaign. So you won't see me on Twitter, Instagram, or any of those, but you will see my stream still here on YouTube. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you get the notifications. And I will see you guys soon. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.